Well, hello and welcome everyone to the New Health Conversation podcast, where we only focus on real medical proof. We don't give you opinions. If you want opinions, there's plenty of people out there that can give you opinions. What you're looking at on the screen is absolutely not photoshopped. It's absolutely for real. That's at 5 weeks. And the thing that I think is, hello, Eddie, I think the thing that's so impressive about that before and after is you look at her neck, her arms, her stomach, her legs, you can see a complete transformation in her body composition. What people lose on all these diets, other than the fact they absolutely do not work in the long run, this calories in, calories out thing is completely nonsense. And here's why. The human body has no idea what a calorie is. So really what they're talking about when they say calorie in, calorie out, they're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. And what they never tell you when you reduce the amount of food you're consuming, you're also reducing nutrition. And when you reduce nutrition, the brain figures out there's not enough fuel. It goes into, hello, Captain Maroney. Hello, Amy. The body goes into starvation mode. It prevents you from burning fat and converts your muscles into carbohydrates for fuel, slowing down your metabolism. That's why all these diets, none of them work long term. As a matter of fact, I have a new study here. It's 80 weight loss clinical trials where the researchers compared different forms of lowering calories to lose weight. They said they found that on all the diets where they lowered calories, people lost weight initially, but people's weight steadily came back to where it was, and many gained more than they lost. That's 80 studies proving that calories in, calories, something's wrong. Something has to be wrong. And then look at the national statistics where 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. Does anybody think that diets are working? I'd love for anyone to put it in the chat and tell me what you think. This whole notion around calories is nonsense. All a calorie is a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. So this new protocol, what this lady did, and many thousands of other people now, she was introduced to this new protocol invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They have no products to sell. They don't have a company. They invented this new process, which was based on different combinations of food, but consuming in a totally different way that had never been done before. So let's take a look at what they figured out after almost 40 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet you could imagine. By reducing the amount of food people consuming, people always lost weight. But in their analysis, when they looked at lean muscle, every person lost up to 40% of the lean muscle. Every person gained back all their weight. Didn't matter whether it was paleo or keto or Mediterranean or time-restricted eating, or it didn't matter what the diet was. They always gained all their weight back and more. And these 80 studies back that up. Nothing to do with these researchers. So what they said was this: is it possible? Can we reduce the amount, the quantity of food people consuming, but not reduce the amount of nutrition? So here's what they did. They eliminated, they only allowed people 30% of the food they consume came from sources in North America, because in case you didn't know it, our food in this country is becoming all but nutritionally bankrupt, all right? So 30% from foods in the United States, you'd actually get a grocery list that you'd take to the grocery store. But the key to this was 70% of the food that people consume. Keep in mind, the researchers don't sell you anything. We don't sell you anything, okay? But there were suppliers who had located 5 foods from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, from Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, that represented, tremendous amounts of nutrition, but not tremendous amount of quantity. So now they had the ingredients. 30% from the grocery store, 70% from these foods from around the world that the researchers have took. These 5 foods, they said, for the first time in history, they created the world's most perfect meal nutritionally. It's really important you understand that, nutritionally. Okay, it has nothing to do with quantity, has everything to do with quality or nutritional density, as the researchers describe it. Then they invented 2 new ways of consuming food. 5 days a week, people did something of protein pacing. What the heck is that? They literally had people having 4 meals a day, 4. They started their day with the world's most perfect food, these 5 meals, lunch from the grocery list, 3rd meal from the grocery list, and the 4th meal of the day from the world's most perfect meals. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. On those days, and not intermittent fasting. What they did on those days, they consumed no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods 4 times a day. So they were fasting, but with nutrition. Okay, so what were the results? After 7 days, men and women had lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet these researchers had ever studied in almost 40 years. Women lost a dress size in a week. Men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist. By the way, no one was allowed to exercise. There was no exercise involved. In a month, people ended up losing as much weight in a month as a year on diets, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. You can see her picture. That's 5 weeks from day 1 to 5. Look at the transformation. The body composition is what matters, because what they proved in the studies was that this shrank the visceral fat. That's the dangerous fat around our organs. It went down in 8 weeks, 33%. And no one is allowed to exercise. Now, granted, she's only 5 weeks, but look at that transformation. I know you're all skeptical. Oh, they photoshopped it. We didn't Photoshop a damn thing. As a matter of fact, if you go to our website, I put it down there at the bottom, the New Health Conversation, you can see a whole bunch of other before and afters where there were people there, men and women, lost like 100 pounds, no loose skin. There are athletes there. Because this is not a diet. Get dieting out of your mind. If you're interested in learning how to absolutely not just lose the weight, but keep it off for the rest of your life. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. That's what should matter. No diet. It doesn't ever happen. As a matter of fact, I'll read from one of the big studies where they said, it's right here, why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to restrict or count calories gain back more weight than they lost. Wait a minute. What are we doing diets when it's never been proven to keep weight off long term? What are you counting calories for? Do you see how ludicrous this is? It's completely nuts. It makes no sense. And yet we keep doing it. And run to Barnes & Noble. Look at all we're looking for the new diet title. It was, it's the South Beach diet, it's the celebrity diet, or it's the Cornish diet, or the zone diet, or the lose weight for your blood type, or all these. None of them work. More evidence? 80% of Americans are overweight. Well, back up. 1964, about 10% of the population was overweight or obese. 60 years later, we're at 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Please put in the chat, anybody, tell me a diet that you think works. It's what are we doing? It's like we're defining the definition of insanity. And yet, these researchers, there are 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. You can go and see the evidence of the studies, right? I put the website up there, the New Health Conversation. It's free to go there. There's nothing to buy. This is completely natural. It's all based on new food groupings and a totally different way of consuming food that these researchers invented, proved, and now they have the medical proof in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world. I mean, what else would you want to know as someone that was thinking about changing the rest of their life or not, right? I mean, it's up to you. I mean, why would you go on a diet that'll take you 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way possible? But say all a diet is, forget this calories in, calories out. The body can't measure calories, but here's what it cares about. We have a minimum amount of nutrition, not a minimum amount of calories. See, that's the problem. People go on these extreme calorie reduction. All they're doing is reducing the amount of food. And when you reduce the amount of food, you reduce what? The amount of nutrition. When the brain figures it out, it goes in survival mode, starvation mode, stops fat burning, and looks for fuel. Where does it find it first? In our muscles. This is proven in study after study after study. It's not up for debate. We're losing up to 40% of our lean muscle mass. Okay, well, number one, it slows the metabolism down. So now people can't burn as much fuel, and they plateau, and then they come off the diet and they gain everything back. But worse, the worst part is when you lose lean muscle, it absolutely impacts your immune system. So that diet, that the needle moved, you're in your skinny jeans, it's doing something to you. It's not doing something for you because they don't take into account body composition. I had a trainer, I got into this big sort of, let's say, heated discussion. So he sent me 3 peer-reviewed human trial studies on intermittent fasting and another group on calorie restriction, telling me how good it was. The study was 6 months long. You know what the average weight loss was in 6 months? 12 pounds. There wasn't one mention about body composition. You see where we are? The bar is so low that we just accept things that they have a new name, but it's the same principle. Please, anybody, tell me a diet you've been informed about that's not some form of lowering calories. Did you see the insanity in that? That the calorie, which the body doesn't know what it is, it can't measure, it's just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. The body's not counting calories. We are, because someone told us to. What they should have told us was about focusing on nutritional density in the food we're consuming. That's what all the studies are now beginning to say, right? It's not a product. It's called R2M. It stands for race to maintenance. And what I can tell you is that it's not just what you're consuming. Okay, so 30% of your food. So the researchers who don't have a product, there's no product involved. Let's talk about that, right? It's food. 30% of the food, you get a grocery list, you get it and you take to the grocery store. The other foods are 5 foods that you would buy directly from the suppliers who supply these 5 foods to the researchers. The researchers don't sell you anything. We don't sell you anything, okay? Now, the key was not just what they were going to consume, but 2 new ways of consuming it. And that was based on something called protein pacing, where 5 days a week you'd have 4 meals a day. I know, sounds no diet like this. Meal number 1, breakfast from these 5 foods from around the world. They came from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. You're not going to run down to your local grocery store and get that. Only 30% of the food you consume comes from your grocery store, and you get a grocery list. Okay, these other 5 foods come from around the world. Then, so 5 days a week, you're doing, start the day with the world's most perfect meal. Lunch from the grocery store list, 3rd meal from the grocery list, and a 4th meal from the world's most perfect meals. And then 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. Those days, you're only consuming the 5 foods around the world, no food from the grocery store 4 times a day. So you're fasting with nutrition. What were the results? Well, in 7 days, men and women lost as much weight as 8 weeks of any diet. And these are the top weight loss researchers in the world that invented this. But they don't have a product. They don't have a company. They don't sell anything. They're scientists. We're also blessed that this is now available, and it's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies in some of the biggest medical journals in the world. No, it's not a product. It's a whole, this is gonna make every traditional diet completely obsolete. Unless you like the idea of taking 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way, you can lose that much in 7 days. How about losing as much in a month as a year on diets, lose no water, and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, as they did in the studies, and no one was allowed to exercise. So why isn't that like very interesting to you? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But we're providing you can see it right there, the New Health Conversation, a totally new free website. If you go there, we won't even contact you. No, we don't do that. We show you the medical evidence so you can make a choice. If you want more information, you can scroll down and sign up, schedule, not sign up for anything. You're not signing up for anything. Schedule a free consultation with one of our coaches, and the coaches are there to do one thing, educate you. They've gone through the process, etc. And that coach is not just the initial, so it's not a trick. They don't just do your initial evaluation. They're there with you the whole time for free. It's free coaching, free. I know it sounds like it'd be good. What's the catch? Where's the other shoe? There's no other shoe to drop. You look at that before and after that shit. I mean, that's one of many, many. If you go to the website, you'll see men and women who lost 100 pounds, no loose skin. You'll see athletes that in 11 days, the transformation is unbelievable. Hard to imagine that there's something like this. But it's up to you. You can do whatever you want to do. You can, a week from today, millions and millions of people around the world are going to do what? New Year's resolution to lose weight. But let's go to about March and see when they've all quit those, because they're too hard, and 2, the progress is almost non-existent, and what they've lost is lean muscle mass, which has slowed down their metabolism. They're going to gain everything back. Not my opinion. I read that one study. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. Another big study, 80 weight loss clinical trials. The researchers compared different forms of calorie reduction. They found that calorie reduction produced initial weight loss, but people's weight steadily rose back to where they started and beyond. This is 80 studies. Now, if you don't believe in science, you're on the wrong podcast. We don't give you opinions. If you want opinions, it doesn't matter. Now, let me show you another example. None of this is Photoshop. This is a woman, okay? Wait till you see this. This is exactly 30 days from day one. 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches. Look at the shrinkage. Look at the change in her body's composition. I think you can all see that. Show me any diet like this with no exercise, no sit-ups, no crunches, no gym, no nothing. I know the biggest thing I'm fighting is your skepticism. This is too good. It's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast. On a diet, it would be. But you got to understand on this, because they measured it, lean muscle. That's the thing they tell you on diets, don't lose more than a pound a week. But every diet, you're losing up to 40% of your lean muscle mass, no matter what you do. On this, they gain lean muscle. Do you know the new studies? Guess what they say? The faster you can lose weight, number one, the greater likelihood you're going to keep it off forever. And number two, it's the healthiest thing you can do as long as you are not lowering your nutrition. So they proved it. Listen, these studies were started about 6 years ago. These people have been able to keep their weight off now for 6 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. Wow, that's kind of cool, right? Let's see. Okay, wow. Okay, so that's a great question. Somebody's asking about the cost. Okay. All right, so here's what you do. Take your total food budget you're spending now in a month. 30% of it, you're going to spend that money, the same money you're spending now, at the grocery store. The other 70%, you're going to use to buy these 5 foods. Most people tell me when they look at 30% from the grocery store and these 5 foods around the world, they're spending about what they were spending before for food that's essentially almost nutritionally bankrupt. So it's very, very affordable. It's food. Do you understand? It's food. You have to eat. That's what's so cool about this. It's not like you eat your food and then you take a capsule. There's none of that nonsense. No capsules involved. It's all natural and it's medically backed. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. I know it sounds preposterous. Oh my, what do you mean you can lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks? Yeah, well, look at her in 5 weeks what happened. And then look at this, 21.2 pounds, 38.7 in 4 weeks. When have you ever seen anything like that? You realize that's 5 pounds a week, basically. It's almost a pound a day with no exercise. Look, suspend your skepticism long enough if you want. Go to the website. Now, here's why you would want to do that. There's an interview with the world's #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist who invented this. And they said, after almost 40 years of research, they'll never recommend any form of traditional diet, calorie in, calorie out, ever again. He said it would be unethical. Why would, let's say animosity or Mika or any of you. You mean you'd want to go on a diet that would take you 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when you could lose weight in a week and it be safe? I mean, most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days. Men lose 2 to 4 inches off their waist in a week. And I see people coming on and getting off, et cetera, because you just can't believe anything like this exists. Okay, how about Elon Musk? Wait a minute, we're shooting a rocket into space and we can catch the rocket when it comes back? Oh, how does that happen? So why, just because this was never invented, why is it not possible? Because what you're trying to do is compare it to diets. It's not a diet. It has nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, the main reason to do it is not to lose weight. The main reason to do it is to combat this medical syndrome, which I have, you have, every person in the world. It's called TDOS. It stands for toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, overweight, and stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. Here's what's going on, whether you know it or not. We're drinking. We're breathing, we're eating chemicals. As they enter the body, the immune system runs because it can't handle it. So the body takes that chemical and stuffs it in what's called our visceral fat. The visceral fat is the fat around our organs. Well, in these studies where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved this was assisting the body in removing chemicals from the body. No other diet has ever approached anything like this. And as a result was this tremendous weight loss and reduction in the visceral fat by 33% in 8 weeks with no exercise. Now, why? How come she shrank like that? Because her body was removing the chemicals. See, the fat cell's like a balloon, okay? So in comes the chemical, the balloon expands. Well, if you can take the chemical out of there, the balloon shrinks back. That's exact. Look at it. Now, you probably think we photoshopped it. We didn't Photoshop anything. We don't need to Photoshop. This is real. And the people that are doing this, it's changing their lives because the main reason to do it is not the weight loss. It's to assist the own body in detox, but also blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down in 30 days dramatically. If you go to the website, you'll see before and afters with the medical results. You'll see the A1C, you'll see the blood pressure, you'll see the cholesterol, you'll see the HDL, you'll see all those things that are there. It's not a diet. It's about maximizing your health potential. Doesn't that interest you? Isn't your health your wealth? What is more important than your health? I don't know what it would be. You have an incredible opportunity if you just suspend your which I support. I understand you're skeptical. I can see how many people come on here and how few people go to the website and then actually, it's a free personal consultation for you. Why do we do that? Because we don't know anything about you. What if you want to gain weight? Do you know we have kids as young as 2 doing this? We have people that are 90. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with kidney transplants. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing any medical conditions. Forget that. We're not doing any of that stuff. To go and look at something that you could literally hit the reset button on the rest of your life. The protocol that the researchers, they named it R2M, race to maintenance. That's the only reason to do it. It's not a question, can you lose the weight? That's like a joke for us. You're going to lose weight in, like 10 times faster or more than any diet. But the maintenance, that's what we teach you. Once you've lost the weight, you're at the end of the beginning. You're at the starting line. But the key is, okay, now what do I do next? I know a lot of you experience that. You go on these diets, you lose weight, and then you gain it all back, and you think, oh, well, I started eating again. No, you had lost lean muscle mass on all these diets and slowed your metabolism down. Even with your best intentions, the weight comes back. You know it. I mean, that's exactly what's happening, and I'm not opposed. Let me be clear. I'm not opposed to the shots. They're definitely helping diabetics. They're helping people that are morbidly obese because I see the posts that come through. But again, we're researchers. You can go and look this up yourself. New England Journal of Medicine, it's titled Once Weekly Semaglutide in Adults and Overweight or Obesity. You can go look it up. This was the 6th New England Journal of Medicine. So they have no dog in the hunt. They're not trying to say yes or no to shots. They're telling these results they thought were really encouraging. But what were the results? After 68 weeks, that's a year and 4 months, the average weight loss was 32 pounds. And right in the appendix, not in the main. See, that's what people don't do. They don't go into the details, all right? But in the rest of the study, they said that of the 32 pounds people lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. I can tell you now, I'm working with people on the that are clinics and stuff. Every person that's on the shots is losing lean muscle mass, and every person coming off, because we're getting some, they're gaining as much as a half pound a day. Because what does the shot do? It slows down the food moving through your digestive tract. It's a fancy way of saying what? You're reducing the amount of food you're consuming in a day, which means you're reducing the amount of nutrition in a day. Does this make sense to all of you? That's why that's why they fail long term. Because they're not, no one's addressing food is only there because it contains nutrition. It doesn't have anything to do with what's the volume, what's the quantity of the food. It has to do what's the quantity, what's the density of the nutrition. That is the gasoline, the fuel that drives the human body, or the electricity, whatever you want to call it. But what are we doing? We're being told calories in, calories out, code word. When you lower calories, you're lowering the amount of food, and you're lowering the amount of food, you're lowering the amount of nutrition. A calorie is just a measurement. It doesn't mean a darn thing. Look, we wrote the best-selling book about this called Why Diets Are Failing Us back in 2010. And that was our main principle. Why are we counting calories and not concentrating on nutrition? If your body only runs on nutrition, do you think it would be important not to have too little nutrition that triggers the survival mode in the brain, preventing you from burning fat and turning to your muscles for fuel, and also impacting your own immune system? Who's telling you this of the influences out there? You know? Please just tell us, hate watching. Well, Deanna, I'm sorry for you, What do you, okay, Deanna, what would you like me to tell you? Maybe you weren't on when I explained the whole principle behind this. Deanna, do you see the lady there? Okay, would you like those results or not? Because no diet's ever going to produce that for you. I'm sorry that it's complicated. What do you think? This is not some lotion potion pill. Hey, here are 5 recipes to lose weight. That's all the nonsense that's out there. That's why all this stuff is failing. Here's the simple version. I'll make it as simple as I can. Any diet is about lowering the amount of nutrition that we're consuming, okay? The researchers figured out, could we lower the amount of food you were consuming, but not lower the amount of nutrition? And they accomplished it by giving you a list, 30% you'd buy from the grocery store, the other 70% from these 5 foods around the world, and then teaching you 2 completely different ways, let's call it the recipe of how to consume it. 5 days a week, you have 4 meals a day. On those days, you start your day with the world's most perfect meal. That's your breakfast, these 5 foods from around the world. Lunch from the grocery list, a third meal from the grocery list, and a fourth meal, the world's most perfect meals. 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Those days, no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods 4 times a day. That's what they did. In 7 days, well, you can see her results, but men and women in the first 7 days lost as much weight as 8 weeks of any diet out there. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. I'm sorry for that. But we give you the option to go to the website, look at the free, all the medical proof, then sign up for a free personal consult. Because it's not some like, we're not just sending you, like, check the box. It doesn't work like that. This is not about recipes. This is about completely changing the rest of your life. Look at her results in 5 weeks. Would you like that? Any of you? I mean, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. I mean, we're in such a world that everybody wants like a 60-second commercial. No, we're not doing that. We're scientists. We're going to explain to people why you should at least be curious about it, if nothing else, right? So again, Deanna, I hope I answered your question as short a period as I can do. But the coaching's 100% free. It'd be like, Deanna, if you could join the gym and they gave you a free personal trainer, would you not do that? I have a personal trainer and I've been working out for years. It makes a big difference. If nothing else, to, keep me accountable and, whatever, and make sure obviously I'm not going to hurt myself by doing some, exercise in the wrong way. Look, for all of you, do you really think what's today, Thursday? Next Thursday, you're going to go on a diet and you're going to have a success long term when the studies say why you shouldn't count calories? While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict calories gain back more than they lose. Here's a study. This is a study on 80 different weight loss clinical trials. The researchers compared different forms of lowering calories. They found that all diets by lowering calories, people lost weight initially. But people's weight steadily came back to where they started and beyond. So Deanna or anybody else, you can do whatever diet you want. They're not going to work long term. I don't care what you think. We have look, from 1964 to today, we've gone from 10% overweight and obese to 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. The thing is, I understand we have this mass misinformation translating to 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, and 50% pre-diabetic. And yet, then it gets even worse, where we have people like Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. I mean, this is crazy. So whatever you're doing is not working. I mean, whatever you think, it's cool, but the medical reality is you're going to fail in the long run, and you're going to blame it on yourself. Oh, I picked the wrong. No, every diet is on the wrong, completely different approach. I mean, it's just, it really is a travesty about what we're doing because, Deanna, let me show you this other one if you didn't see this. This lady, this is exactly 30 days, okay? Let me ask you if that would interest you. 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches in 30 days with no exercise. Look at the change in her body composition. That's the thing, and it's all natural. This isn't a drug. This isn't some extreme thing. It's the reaction of the body to huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantities, and then very specific, because the timing, it's what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, how much you're going to eat. It's all laid out. As a matter of fact, you even get, if you do it, you get the researchers put together called the Blueprint for Success. All these yellows are daily tutorials explaining to you, educating you about why am I doing this? Why is it not a diet? Why is it not safe? So again, our main job is to educate you. I'm sorry that it's complicated and it takes a while. If you want simple answers, there's tons of people on social media I can tell you right now, you can go and you can buy an app and they'll give you like 200 recipes and then you'll get a coach on something that is a complete and utter failure as far as long-term results. I mean, I don't know how anybody would argue with the fact we have more diets than ever, calories in, calories out than ever before, and yet we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Does anyone really think that diets work long-term? I'd love to hear your opinion and why you would believe that. as opposed to the medical proof. And we've set it up for you. There's an absolute free medical website right here. I'm going to put it in the chat again in the bottom here so you can all see it. I'm having trouble loading it. Hold on, everybody. Why is it? Okay, here we go. So there you can see it, the New Health Conversation. You can go there. It's totally free. We will not contact you if you go there. That's one thing I will promise you. Only way we'll contact you is if you contact us. Scroll down. You can sign up for a free personal consultation. Or you can start your diet next Thursday. You will definitely lose weight. But when it comes roaring back, remember this crazy scientist that you saw, I guess maybe I should have looked into that. We wrote the best-selling book in 2010 called Why Diets Have Failed on Us, and we had tremendous, as I get tremendous pushback. I mean, people get angry. They say horrible things, accusing me of, wait a minute. All we're doing is making people aware of the medical proof. No opinions on my part. And then we're showing people how they did what they did in the studies. If that's bad, then I'm apologizing in advance. I don't know how else to explain this to people. So would anybody else like to ask a question? Because I'm more than happy to answer any and all questions that you might have before I end this podcast. Because I'll probably go, well, depending on how many questions I get or comments, I'm happy to stay longer, and I will definitely answer your questions and stay there. But for Tracy, that is not Photoshop. What you're looking at there is 5 weeks apart. Okay. See, this is the problem. They come on, they think it's like something else. There's no equivalent to this. There's nothing out there with 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies on this breakthrough. It's so revolutionary. I understand people they get skeptical. They can't believe it's real. So Emeka, did you have a question for me or anybody else? I'm happy to answer those questions because I think that we're now in a position where we've got to do something different. I mean, unless you think that after, they started counting calories in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So let's say 125 years ago. And it's only gotten worse every single year, despite the fact we have more diets than ever before. Does everybody agree with that? You don't have to agree. Again, with all due respect, I'm not sure Deanna's on. I probably made her mad, but I wasn't trying to make her mad. I was just trying to say, do you want a real solution that works, or do you want some? It would be a disservice if I didn't explain to people how it originated, why it's different, and what you do. I mean, that's basically what I'm doing. And these, podcasts, people turn over all the time. We have new people coming on. Hi, Den. We have new people coming on all the time. So Den, that picture you're looking at is not Photoshop. That's exactly 5 weeks. See, again, they come on, they go off because, again, they can't wrap their heads around the fact that something like this exists, which it does. So anyway, all right. It looks like we're out of people for right now. So it's now about 3:45 in the East Coast. Hello, Chad Wells. The picture you're looking at there is not Photoshopped in any way. That lady really transformed her body. No exercise, not a diet, nothing to do with dieting. It's a revolutionary new protocol. Hello, sister. Hello, user 937. Look at the picture. That's what we're talking about. How did she accomplish that? Look at the difference in her body in just 5 weeks with no exercise. No one was allowed to exercise in these medical trials. There are 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies proving exactly what she did was safe, number one. But look at her neck, look at her arms, look at her stomach, look at her legs. Look at how much she shrank. See, the thing you never are told when you get on these diets, they never talk about body composition, which is the ratio between how much fat you have and how much muscle. Well, you can see she definitely shrunk and there's no loose skin. We provide you with a free website. You can see it at the bottom, the New Health Conversation, where you can go. There's more before and afters. This was invented by the top weight loss researchers in the world who don't sell anything. They don't have any products. They don't have a company. They're just researchers. And effectively, in the short version is, what did they do? They used a new combination of foods. Only 30% of the food came from the United States. The other 70% came from 5 foods from around Nasser. Oh, you're back. Hi, sir, gentlemen. Yeah. Anyway, these other researchers found 5 food groups from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, that represented massive amounts of nutrition, not massive amounts of quantity. And the researchers said these 5 foods made for the first time ever a meal would be the world's most perfect meals nutritionally. Nothing to do with quantity, but everything to do with quality, okay? So now they had 30% of the food, you'd get a grocery list, you go to the grocery store, the other 70% from these 5 foods from around the world. And then they had people do 2 new ways of consuming food that we would teach you. Number 1, 5 days a week, they had 4 meals a day. You heard me, 4 meals a day. Starting with the world's most perfect meal from these 5 foods from around the world, lunch from the grocery list, third meal from the grocery list, and the 4th meal of the day from the world's most perfect meals. 4 times a day. 5 days a week. 2 days a week, they all did something called intermittent nutritional fast. That's what she did. Intermittent nutritional fasting, where 2 days a week, she consumed no food from the grocery store, but she consumed these foods from around the world 4 times a day, about every 3 hours. What were the results? In 7 days, men and women had lost as much weight as any diet they'd ever studied in 8 weeks. Women lost a whole dress size in 7 days. Men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist, okay? And in a month, they ended up losing as much weight in a year with no water weight and gaining lean muscle. That's 5 weeks for her. Look at that transformation. How many of you would love to be able to do something like that? Because that's the key to the whole thing, is the result. But here's the other part that's so important. All these, my case, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. Shouldn't that be the most important thing to you? See, the protocol is called R2M, race to maintenance. And what we've done is set up a free medical website. You can see it at the bottom, the New Health Conversation. You can go there. We won't contact you. Be clear. No, we don't do that. All the medical proof is there. If you like what you see, you can scroll down and sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Now, not only is the initial consultation free, but the coach is free the whole time to get you to your goals. I don't know what could be fairer than that, okay? And one last thing before I close out, the 5 foods that you buy directly, you don't buy from us, you don't buy from the researchers, you buy from the suppliers. They offer you a 100% money-back guarantee in the first 30 days, no questions asked. Show me anything else on social media like that. Now listen, nothing is 100%, of course, but it's so rare when anyone ever asks for a refund, because the kind of results like that woman, that lady in the picture is getting, they're not wanting to quit, okay? Sister me. I'm not sure who is Sister me. Sister, can I answer a question for you? Are you looking to lose weight, gain weight? Do you want more energy? Do you want to lower stress? What are you really trying to do? Because I'm more than happy to answer your question. I'll stay longer. Anybody that wants to ask me a question, I'll stay until I'm able to answer the question for you. But I'm not quite sure of your question when you say me. I don't know what we're talking about. Are you talking about you like this? You want to find out more? Because you can go. I'm going to put the website right under your name again, just so there's no confusion about what you want to go and see. But if you could tell me, if you give me a general idea about, how much weight you'd like to lose, I'll tell you about how fast. But remember, it's not a question, can we get you to lose the weight? The key is to keep the weight off for the rest of your life. That's the only key. It's the only reason to do this. There are no other reasons that make any sense at all. And, you have no risk, because you have to eat, basically, the food that, I'm great, Nasser, I'm wonderful. So again, sister, did you have another question or comment? And like I said, you don't have to do it, but you can go to the New Health Conversation, see all the proof, and then sign up for free personal consultation if that's what you want to do. Hi, Ann. I see you're coming on late. Ann, the picture you're looking at there, it's not Photoshop. That is for real, with no exercise, by the way. This is a revolutionary new protocol. It's not lotions, potions, pills, capsules. This is a rare combination of food groups and a completely different way. Yeah, I did have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you, Nasser. And so it's what we do, we provide you, I'm going to put it on the bottom for you again. It's a free website that you can go to. You can learn all about it. You can see all the medical proof. And if you like what you see, you can scroll down and actually sign up for a free, and I mean free, personal consultation. You can see it right there, the New Health Conversation. But if you want, I'll stay. I was going to close it out. I'll stay a little bit longer if you wanted to ask me a specific question, because this is not a diet. It doesn't work like that. And the key to it is being able to maintain whatever you accomplish for the rest of your life. I mean, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. That's what should excite you potentially. So it's okay. And if you don't want to comment, I'm a friendly person. I'm a scientist, researcher, and just sharing this knowledge with everybody. So does anybody else have a question or comment for me? Now at about 40 minutes, and I'm gonna close it out if no one else wants to ask me a question. I'll wait about another minute just to see if Sister or Ann or anybody else would like to ask me a question. Oh, I'm in Denver, Colorado, Nasser. I'm in Denver, Colorado. You're in Atlanta. Oh, good. My brother used to live in Marietta. I'm sure you know where Marietta is. Okay, sister. Great, great, great. Okay, sister. Let me be here to be of service to you. I don't know if you saw when I held up. This is an example. This is 30 days. She lost 21.2 pounds and 38.75 inches. So let me ask you a question, sister. If you could lose at a minimum 20, with 90 pounds to lose, I mean, this is going to sound crazy to you. You probably would lose about 30 pounds in the first month. I know that sounds crazy to you. I would say in the first week, well, let me ask you this, if you don't mind, sister. What if in the first week you lose 10 to 12 pounds? How much would that incentivize you to continue safely without losing any? Well, you see her before and after. That's what's happening. People are literally shrinking. And so the main thing is that we want you to have the opportunity to go to the website. It's free. Look at the medical proof, and then sign up for a free consultation, and we'll get you. The coaching's free the whole time, not just initially. And like I said, basically think about, you're going to go shopping in January for food for the month. Only 30% of what you bought last month from your grocery store will you buy in January. The other 70% comes from these 5 foods around the world, which, by the way, sister, they offer you on those 5 foods 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. I mean, basically, you're eating yourself into wellness is what it boils down to. And we teach you the new ways of consuming that aren't like, they're not a diet, have nothing to do with it. No, Nasser, I wasn't talking to you about your weight. I was talking to sister. So again, sister, would that just blow your mind if that was possible? Which it is. And remember, sister, no exercise. No one was allowed to exercise because the researchers didn't want exercise to be an outlier. They didn't want it to be an affecting factor. But honestly, explain to me, in 7 days, if you were down 10 or 12 pounds, how much would that incentivize you to keep going? And remember, the coach is there not just for education, but also for support. The coaching's free. Do you think we'd be dumb enough to do this if it didn't work? Maybe we would be. I hope we're not. But does this make perfect sense to you, sister? Do you understand? Are you excited about finding out more? Please let me know before I cancel out here, because I'm gonna absolutely. Ann, what about you? Do you have any comments or questions? Yes, it would make you excited. So, sister, are you clear where to go to see the medical proof and sign up for the free consultation if you want to? I'm going to put it under your name. There it is again. The New Health Conversation. You just type in, it can be lowercase, uppercase, the New Health Conversation, which I think we sorely need, and go and sign up for a free consult if you want. Because, sister, we're not going to contact you if you go there. Do you understand? We will not contact you. Only way we'll get a hold of you is if you get a hold of us. People go there and they think, we're going to call, we're going to need a phone call. We don't do that. We don't need to do it. It has nothing to do with us. Does that sound pretty fair to all of you? And Chuck, whatever, Chuck, you're just joining us. You can see at the bottom there, Chuck, the New Health Conversation. It's the medical website with 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies showing how, not just as women, but men and women, they lost as much weight in a week, Chuck, as in 8 weeks of any diet, safely. They lost as much weight in a month as about a year on diets, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. All the medical proof is there on that site for free. You don't have to do anything. We won't contact you. But if you like what you see, Chuck, you can scroll down and sign up for a free personal consultation. Because you came in a little bit late, I'm just about ready. I'm going to end this podcast in about another minute. So, sister, Ann, Chuck, all of you, thank you. Nasser, thank you all very much for attending the podcast. It's now about 3 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock Eastern time. I may do another one around 5:30 or 6. It depends. But If not tomorrow, for sure, I'll probably start around 11:30 noon Eastern time. I'll probably be on even more tomorrow. So I want to thank you all for watching and listening. Have a great day, everybody.